You got them all? You got them all? Okay, freeze, freeze, freeze. Stephanie Latsky, where's your team? Stephanie, get your team up here. Hold on. I gotta verify this by asking a few embarrassing questions. Hold on. We gotta make sure this. Come on up, Stephanie. Come on up. Where's your team? Okay.
We do not work as a team, though. I'm going to be honest. Okay.
You're killing me here. Okay.
I can't read people's writing.
I know
that wasn't criteria.
That wasn't the criteria. Okay. So I've got Maureen Webster. Where's Maureen?
Uh-oh.
Maureen, you performed in front of a crowd? Is that true? You signed off on the sheet? Can you just give me a yes or no? You did? Okay. Sure. Okay, that was a weak sure.
What did you sign off on?
You know I'm going to ask about the tattoo one. Let me see.
I don't even know what that means.
Traveled up north. MAS. Where's MAS?
Right here.
You signed off your own sheet?
We got one square, right?
Yeah?
There you go.
Okay.
Hey, listen to the rules. You don't want to listen to the rules, that's on you.
Okay. I think we have our winner. Congratulations to Stephanie's team. And their prize is a multi-charger with the Henry Ford College logo on it. All right. Hopefully everybody had some fun. Grab a seat. Feel free to regale each other with embarrassing stories on what you signed off
I
on.
think you need to make sure people can write legibly, so you can call them out, because the tattoo one was like, do I have to tell you what it is? You want to tell them they can grab snacks and
Everybody want to grab snacks before they sit down? Now's the time. Just, one click and you're good to go. Okay? I believe so. Yeah, we checked it. Okay, as folks are slowly making their way back to their seats, I know that got a little chaotic. Was that fun? All right, cool. Folks, it is my pleasure to get to introduce today's, we'll call it lead speaker. He is the VP of Student Affairs. This whole training concept was his idea, and I was very excited to join the committee that got to put it into action. So here to tell you a little, yeah, we fought over it. So he's here to tell you a little bit about his vision for this and a few other interesting things. I won't steal his thunder. So put your hands together, please, for Dr. Herbst.
Why don't you guys go sit out in the crowd? Why don't you guys go ahead and move out to the crowd? All right? Well, welcome. I'm really glad to be here today, and I thank you all for coming in. I know that taking it away from your desk is a little bit something different that we haven't done here very often before, but I can tell you that the enthusiasm and the reason why we're here is because of you. When I came on board back on January the 31st, one of the things I asked to do was be able to meet as many people as possible and talk to them and find out what their needs are. And I heard over and over again that people would like to have more training, get to know other people in the units, and figure out how we can make things better for students. And so with the support of the cabinet, Michael and the cabinet, I brought forward the idea of, hey, let's close down this place for 2 hours and give us a chance to talk, to get to know each other a little bit better, to understand what happens here at the college to be able to serve students best. And it actually started under Interim President John Sikowski. So if you see John along campus, thank him for this, because he supported it moving forward. Of course, when Russ came on board, he thought this was a great idea. And he expresses his apologies for being here. He wanted me to thank Michael for stepping in and doing the welcome for him. He will be here. He will be part of some training in the future. If you look at your dates, you'll see some that say reflections, open sessions. And this is, I really want to thank, that's why I pulled him out here. I really wanted to, what? Talk louder? Okay, I'm sorry. I really want to thank Chad and Lorraine and Auda and Holly. Please have them stand and give them a round of applause. I get all the credit for the great idea. They did all the hard work. And you all know that. That's how it usually happens in institutions that's successful. Leadership comes from various places. And this leadership came from our managers, and I thank you for what you did. You thought of things I would have never thought of. And so I can't take any credit for this at all other than I gave you a challenge and you met the challenge. When they said that they volunteered for this, it wasn't that do you ever see the scene where people are asking for volunteers to step one step forward and everybody else takes one step back and these 4 people are left here? It wasn't that at all. Their hands were one of the first and the only ones to go up to the room, and I was very proud that they did that. Changes are made at colleges and within student affairs by people who are willing to raise their hand and become part of what they need to be done. So I appreciate that. As you can tell, my voice is a little weak today, which is probably you're all thankful for. I won't be up here talking for 20 minutes, but I do have a video, and after the video, I'm going to talk about what the video means. And so you find a screen that you can see, and I've left the closed captioning on because I'm a big fan of closed captioning, and we'll get started here with this video. It's muted? No, let's stop muting it because that won't be any fun at all.
I want to start by asking everyone in the audience here a question. How many of you are completely comfortable with calling yourselves a leader? See, I've asked that question all the way across the country, and everywhere I ask it, no matter where, there's always a huge portion of the audience that won't put up their hand. And I've come to realize that we have made leadership into something bigger than us. We made it into something beyond us. We made it about changing the world. And we've taken this title of leader and we treat it as if it's something that one day we're going to deserve. But to give it to ourselves right now means a level of arrogance or cockiness that we're not comfortable with. And I worry sometimes that we spend so much time celebrating amazing things that hardly anybody can do that we've convinced ourselves that those are the only things we're celebrating. And we start to devalue the things that we can do every day. And we start to take moments where we truly are a leader and we don't let ourselves take credit for it and we don't let ourselves feel good about it. And I've been lucky enough over the last 10 years to work with some amazing people who have helped me redefine leadership in a way that I think has made me happier. And with my short time today, I just want to share with you the one story that is probably most responsible for that redefinition. I went to a school little school called Mount Allison University in Sackville, New Brunswick. And on my last day there, a girl came up to me and she said, "I remember the first time that I met you." And then she told me a story that happened 4 years earlier. She said, "On my day before I started university, I was in the hotel room with my mom and my dad, and I was so scared and so convinced that I couldn't do this, that I wasn't ready for university, that I just burst into tears. And my mom and my dad were amazing. They were like, 'Look, we know you're scared, but let's just go tomorrow. Let's go to the first day, and if at any point you feel as if you can't do this, that's fine. Just tell us, we will take you home. We love you no matter what.' And she said, so I went the next day and I was standing in line getting ready for registration, and I looked around and I just knew I couldn't do it. I knew I wasn't ready. I knew I had to quit. And she says, I made that decision, and as soon as I made it, there was this incredible feeling of peace that came over me. And I turned to my mom and my dad to tell them that we needed to go home. And just at that moment, you came out of the Student Union building wearing the stupidest hat I have ever seen in my life. It was awesome. And you had a big sign promoting Shinorama, which is Students Fighting Cystic Fibrosis, a charity I've worked with for years. And you had a bucket full of lollipops. And you were walking along and you were handing the lollipops out to people in line and talking about Shinorama. And all of a sudden, you got to me and you just stopped and you stared. It was creepy. This girl right here knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then you looked at the guy next to me and you smiled and you reached in your bucket, you pulled out a lollipop and you held it out to him. And you said, you need to give a lollipop to the beautiful woman standing next to you. And she said, I have never seen anyone get more embarrassed faster in my life. He turned beet red, and he wouldn't even look at me. He just kind of held the lollipop out like this. And I felt so bad for this dude that I took the lollipop. And as soon as I did, you got this incredibly severe look on your face, and you looked at my mom and my dad, and you said, look at that. Look at that. First day away from home, and already she's taking candy from a stranger. And she said everybody lost it. 20 feet in every direction, everyone started to howl. And I know this is cheesy, and I don't know why I'm telling you this. But in that moment when everyone was laughing, I knew that I shouldn't quit. I knew that I was where I was supposed to be, and I knew that I was home. And I haven't spoken to you once in the 4 years since that day, but I heard that you were leaving. And I had to come up and tell you that you've been an incredibly important person in my life, and I'm gonna miss you. Good luck. And she walks away, and I'm flattened. And she gets about 6 feet away, she turns around and smiles and goes, you should probably know this too. I'm still dating that guy 4 years later. A year and a half after I moved to Toronto, I got an invitation to their wedding. Here's the kicker, I don't remember that. I have no recollection of that moment, and I've searched my memory banks because that is funny, and I should remember doing it, and I don't remember it. And that was such an eye-opening, transformative moment for me to think that maybe the biggest impact I'd ever had on anyone's life, a moment that had a woman walk up to a stranger 4 years later and say, "You've been an incredibly important person in my life," was a moment that I didn't even remember. How many of you guys have a lollipop moment, a moment where someone said something or did something that you feel fundamentally made your life better? All right. How many of you have told that person they did it? See, why not? We celebrate birthdays where all you have to do is not die for 365 days. And yet we let people who have made our lives better walk around without knowing it. And every single one of you has been the catalyst for a lollipop moment. You have made someone's life better by something that you said or that you did. And if you think you haven't, think about all the hands that didn't go back up when I asked that question. You're just one of the people who hasn't been told. But it is so scary to think of ourselves as that powerful. It can be frightening to think that we can matter that much to other people. Because as long as we make leadership something bigger than us, as long as we keep leadership something beyond us, as long as we make it about changing the world, we give ourselves an excuse not to expect it every day from ourselves and from each other. Marianne Williamson said, "Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that frightens us." And my call to action today is that we need to get over that. We need to get over our fear of how extraordinarily powerful we can be in each other's lives. We need to get over it so we can move beyond it. And our little brothers and our little sisters, and one day our kids, or our kids right now, can watch us start to value the impact we can have on each other's lives more than money and power and titles and influence. We need to redefine leadership as being about lollipop moments. How many of them we create, how many of them we acknowledge, how many of them we pay forward, and how many of them we say thank you for. Because we've made leadership about changing the world, and there is no world. There's only 6 billion understandings of it. And if you change one person's understanding of it, one person's understanding of what they're capable of, one person's understanding of how much people care about them, one person's understanding of how powerful an agent for change they can be in this world, you've changed the whole thing. And if we can understand leadership like that, I think if we can redefine leadership like that, I think we can change everything. And it's a simple idea, but I don't think it's a small one. And I want to thank you all so much for letting me share it with you today. Have a great day at TED. I'll see you later.
All right. How many of you can think of a lollipop moment in your life that you actually helped someone or someone helped you? I would hope all of you put your hands up, because I know the jobs that you do every day. I've said this in my Russ calls them his listening tours, I call them my meets and greets. I've done every job just about of everybody in this room. And I know how important everything that you do every day. And I know that you don't get thank yous every day from the students. You may rarely get thank yous from the students. His came 4 years after he transformed somebody's life. But yet, it's important for you to realize that you are touching people and you're doing a good thing for them. So I'm going to take a moment, kind of off scripted, and she doesn't know this is happening. But I moved 3,000 miles to get here in the middle of winter. I knew absolutely no one. My wife, my daughter, my dog were still back in Arizona selling the house and getting ready to move out. And the person who reached out to me first and foremost was Patty, my administrative assistant. When I was standing in, I think it was this room, and I did my forum, she came up to me and says, "If you're lucky enough to get this job, I'm going to be your boss." And I knew right at that moment that I wanted to come here because I wanted to work for that woman. So here's a lollipop. And I do thank you. Leadership. You all lead from everywhere place that you're at. John Maxwell, a famous business writer, talks about 360 leadership. And he says for an organization to be successful, leadership does not come from the top. It won't come from Michael, it won't come from myself, it won't come from Russ. It comes from the bottom up. And you lead every day because of what you do for our students. So that's what this training is all about. This training is very much of a growing process. And I haven't told the team this, but I've thought about this. If we're doing this training the same way a year from now, we've done something wrong. Because what we have to do is listen to what your needs are. And you need to be able to tell us what your needs are, and we need to be able to respond. We need to be able to tell you what our needs are so that you can respond to that as well. There was a wonderful article that was in Forbes magazine not too long ago about leadership. And it's for up-and-coming people who want to be leaders. And I'm going to give you a powerful tool to be able to use to be able to resolve some of the issues we have here on campus. 7 simple words. When somebody comes up to you with a concern, don't want to call it a complaint, but a concern about an issue that's going wrong, that something's not right, that something's not happening right, there's something wrong with the college, there's something wrong with the department, your response should be, what are you willing to do about it? Bringing a concern is just the first step of many to be able to solve our problems. So if you have an issue that you feel like really needs to be addressed here, bring it forward to this team, join this team. They would love to have another hand go up, that they would have somebody else to work with. But then also come forward with a solution. It may not be something that you can do at this very moment, but we need not only your concerns, but we need your intelligence and your brilliance and your sense of humor and everything else that you bring to students every day. For those of you who have been unfortunate to be in my office, or fortunate as the case may be, on my whiteboard is a very simple phrase that says, what serves students best? If what we talk about and what we want to do doesn't answer that question, we probably shouldn't be doing it. So everything we can do will serve our students, will serve you. I want you all to be happy when you come to work. But I can't make you happy. I can only provide you the opportunity to be able to do that through this training, through my honest statement. I will listen and do the best that I can. It'll take time. A lot of the stuff that's been going on here for some time that's going to take some really tough decisions to be made to move forward. But we can do that. And we can do that on a Friday. We can do that on a Monday. We can do that any day of the week. But I want you guys to come in on these Fridays and enjoy this time. I want you to understand that what Russ and the rest of the cabinet is giving us is a gift. I have been turned down by presidents when I've come forward and say, I want to do this type of training, I want to close this down. I went to Russ the other day and says, oh, by the way, besides the 2 hours I'm taking off on, we're not closing down, but we're changing what we're doing. We're doing training. I said, I want to take the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and close it down and do a complete all-day retreat. He goes, great, where are you going? That's the type of leadership we have here at the college, and those are the gifts that we're going to be able to do to be able to work on what we need to do. The last thing I will ask you, I met a few people standing in line a while ago, and I asked them, where do you want to be in 5 years? That's something that we need to start thinking about, because we ask our students that all the time. Where do you want to be in 5 years? I want most of you in the room to think about wanting my job. I want to be done with it before you take it, but I want you to think about wanting my job in the future. How do I become a coordinator, a director, a manager? What do I need to be able to do that? Then start talking to people about that and figure out a way that we can help you to reach those goals. Because I've always felt that when staff are continually learning and improving their skills, it does nothing but improve services for students. What serves students best is us serving you as best as we can. And the last thing I want to say is Michael said a lot of nice things about me when he stood up here a while ago, and I can only give it back to him double up. I have worked around the country. I was one of those people who worked at 4 different colleges. I said in the last 10 years, but another story altogether. But my point is, working as closely with him as I have on student affairs and academic affairs has never occurred to me in my whole professional existence. He knows more about student affairs than any vice president of academic affairs, and he cares more about student affairs than anybody else I know in that field. So I really think this is the time, this is the tipping point. We have a wonderful new leader in Russ who's going to give us the opportunity to grow and to try new things and to experiment and to fall on our face and get back up again and try it again. We have Michael in academic affairs, and we have the other vice presidents who are all willing to stand by us and make this better. I want you guys to know how I think you guys do a great job every day. My strength is not going around saying thank you, although I do have lollipops for everybody in the room. I do have to tell you that I know that what you do is challenging, but it's the most rewarding thing we could ever do. I love coming to work every day because I love helping change students' lives. So whatever I can do to help you to be able to do that, it's my commitment to you today, as it's been since the day I got here, to be able to do that. I'm not going to take much more of your time because we're running a little bit late. I had a whole speech written out, but fortunately for you, it'll have to be for another day. There's people cheering in the back. I can see that. That's nice. I've enjoyed every moment that I've been here at Henry Ford College, and I expect the next few years, if we move forward, to even be more fun. It's a challenge, but if it wouldn't be a challenge, it wouldn't be any fun whatsoever to try to do it every day. So I thank you for what you do. I admire you in what you do. I appreciate what you do. And I know that this training is yours. What we do with it, some days it's going to be a lot of information, because sometimes we just have to give you a lot of information. And some days it's going to be a pizza birthday party, whatever else we want to turn it into. But this is yours, this is ours to turn into what we want it to be. I said that when I presented it to the cabinet the first time. I don't have any idea where they're going to go with this. I've turned it over to 4 very brilliant people, and they're going to run with it. And they've run, and I love where they're running, and I want to keep up with them, and I hope you do too. So before you leave, I want you to take a lollipop. If you feel like it's for you, keep it for yourself. But if there's somebody else in this room who's done something recently that you saw was really a cool thing that they did for another staff member, for another student, or perhaps for somebody on the outside, because we all work on volunteer on the outside, please let them know and say thank you. I promise you that's the one thing I'm going to work on to be getting better, is to saying thank you. And I hope that you guys do too. Now, thank you for your time. I'm going to turn it back over to Chad and let him, turn it back over to Holly. We missed her a while ago, and that's why she's cleanup right here. So we'll turn it back over to Holly. But I'm going to ask for these, while we're sitting here, we're going to start passing around the lollipops so that you have them before you leave. Thank you, and thank you for being here.
Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Good? You're still awake? Good, good. All right. Well, that was a great video and a great speech that we just heard. And I want to talk about, you have heard a little bit about reflection days, right? And you've seen them on your blue sheet. I want to talk about, what is a reflection day? Anybody have an idea? I want to make this a little bit interactive instead of me just talking. Not Dr. Herbst. I saw him raise his hand. Anybody want to give a shot at what a reflection day is going to mean to us? Oh, Rhonda, I'm sorry. I'll repeat it. Okay, Rhonda said she thinks a reflection day is us implementing some of the things we learn at the trainings, taking them back to our offices and implementing them. And I would say you are spot on. However, reflection days can also be some other things, and I'm going to share those with you. Reflection days are going to be used definitely for some of the training topics that we're learning about. For example, we have a safety training coming up. We may want to go back with our teams and cover some topics that came up. Maybe some important questions came up. We want to cover those. Or reflection days, we may need to have individual staff meetings, team meetings, emergent things that are coming up. Our friends in academic affairs may be coming to visit us on a reflection day. I know Dr. Nealon has, can I talk about Success in 60? Yeah. I just did. Dr. Nealon has this great idea of Success in 60 that I know he would love to share with all of us. I know some of you have heard it, some of you have not. If you haven't, I know you will love to hear about it. It will be nothing but a great benefit for our students. So on a reflection day, we may take 30 minutes to hear from academic affairs and then spend the remainder of reflection day implementing what we've learned in some of our training sessions or doing a team meeting. It could also be a catch-up day. And what I mean by catch-up day is sometimes during the very busy seasons, we have so much going on. We need to get back to that personal relationship with our students. So we may need to touch base with some students. We may need to make phone calls, emails, interact with our faculty partners, with individuals in other departments. So Reflection Day is going to be a lot of different things. Now, that's a lot of information. Anybody have any questions about what a Reflection Day is? Or how we're going to use them? No? Okay, I hope you're going to be excited about it. You will work, yes, Rhonda? Excellent question. Reflection days, as they stand right now, you'll be in your home offices. We will remain closed. You know, we will still have our closure. You'll be in your home office unless we hear, say, from Dr. Nealon, and then we'll come together, we'll have our presentation, or we have, you know, maybe throughout a week or throughout a two-week period, we hear similar questions over and over and over again, and we decide as a group, we need to get together, we have to address these student issues. Then maybe we pull ourselves together. You know, we hear from the team or managers here that there might be some topics that are important, we could get together. So we want to remain fluid. You know, we'll say home offices, but leave that flexibility for ourselves. Okay? And with that, I'm going to go right into the wrap-up, which I have some notes here. So pardon me, because I have some notes from colleagues and things so I don't forget. You know, Lorraine mentioned earlier, you received an email yesterday, some of you, not everybody yet, I think, but you will if you haven't, about a Microsoft Office Teams site. How many of you received that? Oh, look, wow. Excellent. Now, that is if you're not familiar with that, that's a group site, and this is going to be, as some of you are, I know some of you already been in there, I saw some comments, so good for you. This is going to be our repository. This is our student services team site. The videos for the training will be there, as Lorraine talked about. The agendas will be there. The video that Dr. Herbst showed will be there. So anything that is going on, we will put there. So if you miss a training, as Lorraine said earlier, that information will be there. But also information that you would like to share, feedback, that will be important for us to see. So make sure that you go into that site. It's definitely to be used for our training purposes only. It's not Facebook, so you know, save Facebook for Facebook or Twitter. So I just want to make sure that, you know, it's not, hi, how are you? Save that for in person and having a nice conversation with each other. The other thing that's very important is after every training session, you are going to get a survey, because as you've heard a theme today, your feedback and how you're feeling is important. And we want this to be about what is good for you, as Dr. Herbst said, means what's good for our students. So you will get a survey. Auta has developed a really great survey tool. This is anonymous. So this will come to you electronically. You don't have to log in. You'll fill out information about what can we do better, what would you like to see in the future, and that will come back to us and help us shape future sessions, because we have lots of time in the future for our training sessions. So look forward to receiving your survey. Your blue sheet with those dates, make sure you get them on your calendar so you don't forget that we have training in the future. We don't want you to forget about that. If you did not sign in on the way in, I know we had a little bit of a line, so we'll work on that for the future, we promise. But if you didn't sign in for some reason, we do have one laptop still up, so please sign in on your way out. And, hang on one second, are they under here? Oh, here? Oh, there they are. Has everybody gotten an 80th anniversary pin? Has anybody not gotten one? Okay, if you could, we brought these and thought it would be a nice touch that if you haven't had the opportunity to receive one, that we would pass those out for you. Please keep your hands up and we'll deliver the pin to you. Thank you so much. And lastly, as we wrap up, a couple of things, and you've heard these messages today, but to say how important you are. You are important to the success of our students. You are important to the college. And we want to say thank you. Thank you for the hard work you do and everything you devote. And with that, I get the pleasure of giving you a little bit of good news, and that I see some smiles. We are done officially with our training. You can return back to your departments and see your supervisor or managers as to what they would like you to do for the rest of the day, but we do remain closed. Oh. This was left on the check-in desk if this belongs to some. And the Madonna lanyard. We have some missing items. This was left on the check-in desk. Okay. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm gonna go shut off the video.